All right, well, welcome to the June episode of the Mortgage Update with Mike and Joe. It's June 13th. Can't believe we're halfway through the month.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. We've actually, I think, had three. Now we're moving on our fourth consecutive dry day. So it's nice that we've actually seen some sun and that folks can.
Talking about the weather or your drinking habits?
I'm talking about the weather.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So. Obviously, we talked a lot about the Bills on this station, Joe. Obviously, Josh Allen got married. I don't know about you, but I didn't get invited. Did you get an invite?
I did
to
not.
that?
No,
Yeah.
no invite for me.
Yeah.
I do think some members of Bills Mafia I think did get invited.
Okay. Very cool.
I think there's some today the announcements or the inside look will
Okay.
be coming out. I guess. Part of a magazine launch or something. I don't know what the detail is behind it, but you should be able to get all the Josh Allen wedding photos you want, your heart desires.
Okay.
I know
Very.
there were probably some disappointed women in New York State.
Yes, he is now spoken for.
Yes.
At this point. Just on that note, remind me, when does the training camp start? When was it? Is it mid-August?
End of July. Usually?
Oh, it's the end of July. Okay, so it's coming up.
Coming up quick.
All right, so let's talk about the mortgage business, the real estate business. So June's a big month. June is the National Home Ownership Month. So, Joe, you want to talk a little bit about what GRB's doing and what we're trying to do to continue to bring awareness?
Yeah, I mean, National Home Ownership Month is why we do what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're here to help individuals get into homes, which has been a little bit more challenging,
Right.
over the last couple of years, as
Right.
we talk about. But those different products and programs that we roll out to help buyers win in this market.
Right.
We are starting to see a big impact from those, or we have been seeing, but it seems to continue to be a need to have that, what we call the leveled up pre-qual letter, right?
Right.
To help you write the strongest offer you can, depending on your situation. And how aggressive you want to get with your offer.
Right.
And so, our marketing team did a great job of putting a video together. It's out on our YouTube channel that talks through just the history of home ownership and just walks you through what that history's been, because it hasn't always been a right,
Right.
or to own a home. It is a privilege, right? And so, that piece has been able to grow over the years, and that video kind of walks you through that.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, we just we replayed it, and I think it did a really good job of just the evolution of it. And I think that's something as you look ahead, it's just the industry is just going to continue to evolve. Hopefully, one of the things I know we work on is to continue to try to find different ways, different types of housing for people to purchase, and we do see things that are going to continue to evolve. So more to come on that. Just a little announcement as well. The New York Mortgage Bankers Association is having our convention in the fall. It's a turning stone. The whole theme of this convention is innovative housing solutions. So there's going to be folks there that are displaying tiny homes, manufactured homes, different types of housing stock.
Going to bring in the 3D printer?
The 3D printer. So there will be a lot of good discussion around that. So more details to follow on that. So, Joe, let's turn this back to the market. Obviously, May was a record-breaking month for us here at GRB. Kudos, Joe, to you and the entire team. It's remarkable that you guys achieve that against this type of environment that we're in. So just kind of share again some of the stats and some of the highlights from May.
Yeah, I think, just to touch on that, I mean, it shows the persistence and resiliency of our sales and our operations teams. Whenever we have a record-breaking month, right, we got to not only get that volume in the door, but we got to also get it through our process, right? And so, the sales team works hard to generate that volume, and our ops team just works double as hard to just make sure that we're meeting our timelines and our deadlines, and we're working with the customers. And customer satisfaction is always our drive. And so, trying to make sure we're keeping the customers happy throughout the process, because that's as important as getting the deals in the door. It's just as important to be able to get them out the door.
Right.
So, it's been a focus for us, and we're continuing to deliver. And kudos to both the sales and the ops teams for holding up their ends. and getting through the work. But from a market perspective, in Monroe and surrounding counties, again, seeing a lot of the same. Average list price went from 277.4 to 279. From April to May. Actually, average over list was up 15% over was the average for the month of May, up from 12.37 in April. So a little bit of continuing to see that not only increase in list price, but also the increase in average over list as well.
Just to pause on that for just a minute. I was on a call this past week with the New York mortgage bankers, and one of the things that when you read in the paper nationally, listings are way up.
Yep.
Prices in certain areas are going down. Like for instance, two areas that came up, obviously Florida, just an abundance of listings, prices dropping. Arizona, same thing. So I think one of the things that we need to make sure that we reinforce is that, real estate is local, and what we're still experiencing here is still a very tight market, even though you're seeing things throughout the country loosen up. So when people read the news, don't judge a book by its cover. You really need to take a hard look at what's going on in your backyard.
Absolutely, yeah. We see that a lot. Now, if we just zoom in onto Monroe County, and this kind of echoes your point, right? In Monroe County, we saw an average of 18.8% over list, up from 14%. So
Okay.
Monroe and surrounding was around 15%, and we're seeing 19% in Monroe County on its own. Average dollar amount increased from $20,000 to $47,000, so a big jump up there. Government volume in Monroe and surrounding remains low. We had 6% of our volume in Monroe and surrounding was actually government volume. We talk about these homes that go the highest percentage, highest dollar amount over list. There was a home in Ontario that went $300,000 over list.
Wow.
It was listed for $499.9 and sold for $672. So that's a huge dollar amount over. But then we also had a home in the 14619 zip code that went 90% over list. So it was listed for $154.9 and sold for $294. So again,
Happy sellers.
We are starting, to see some added inventory come on the market. From conversations we're having, it seems like there's still multiple offers coming in on homes, but it's not 20, it's 4 or 5.
Right. And we had a big day today.
A big listing day today.
Yep.
So, inventory continues to rise. And, if you have been on the sidelines, it's time to get out there and start shopping, because this is the time. From the hottest markets, Webster 14580, we did have 15 transactions in that zip code. Average over ask was 7.5%. So, we had a couple more zip codes with the 12 or 13, but Webster took the cake for the month in that area. So if we go down the thruway to Onondaga and surroundings, average list price was up in May to $295, up from $243 in April. We finished May averaging 1% over compared to 3% under in April. So again, different. Again, back to that, zoom into that local area, right? And real estate is very local, much different than an hour down the road. The average amount over increased. It was, very minimal, $1,700 up in May from $7,800 under. Government transactions, 32% of our volume was actually government in Onondaga and surroundings. So in Onondaga by itself, average list price $296.5 versus $229, so a big jump up there. And again, this is based on just GRB volume coming in, not the area as a whole. Average percent increased 3.62% over list in May, up from the 2.41 under.
And Joe, I got to just tell you, I was at an event last night in Syracuse, as you know, just very positive vibes. I mean, there is definitely a mood of excitement, a mood of growth. I mean, obviously everyone knows that with Micron coming in, there's still a lot of work to do there to get that off the ground, but just the enthusiasm and the optimism that people have there is really cool to see.
Yeah.
So.
Hottest zip code was 13021 Auburn. Actually, 5 transactions in that zip code.
We love Auburn.
Yeah, 3.21% over. And then, 8 out of the 16, so 50% of the zip codes had an average at or below ask. So, again, as we talk about, right, knowing what your market is like to set yourself up for success. We haven't seen a lot of news on rates.
Yeah,
It's been
it's been kind of quiet.
we
I mean,
continue to be in that yo-yo type environment. A
Right.
couple days out of the week it's low, then it goes up, then it comes back down.
Yeah, I mean, this past week, obviously, the CPI news came out kind of, as expected, maybe a little bit cooler than what they thought, but really didn't have much impact on rates.
What are your predictions? Does Jerome Powell finally give into the pressure? This is 3 months in a row now with cooled CPI.
I think, there are so many moving parts right now. Obviously, the geopolitical landscape is dicey to say the
volatile.
least right now. Obviously, see what impact, that has. I think, to be frank, I think he stays the course. I think he's going to continue to look at the.
Going to stay the course his way right out of his seat.
Yeah, exactly. I think, that being said, if unemployment, I think, begins to tick up 1 to 2 months in a row, then I think we'll make the move.
Yeah.
That's my read.
Political unrest is, geopolitical unrest, I guess, is usually good for rates. We usually see the 10-year come down, but
Right.
even with the news that came out this morning, we saw the 10-year go up. So
Right. So we want to talk about some quick wins from last month. I think, one of the things that, and Joe, you kind of already said this, the wins are really coming from, I think, our team doing each month a better and better job of really preparing their buyer to put their best foot forward. But also, not only doing that, I think the listing agents that are seeing these offers come in from GRB having continued confidence in the fact that these buyers are strong and that these transactions are going to close and that their seller is going to win. And I think this whole, one of the things that we want to encourage everybody to do is to make certain that when you're working, with a buyer, that you talk to your GRB loan officer to get their pre-approval or their cash plus or their cash guarantee, whatever they're in a position to do, to make their offer as strong as they possibly can. And I think we're seeing more and more of that, and I think that trend's just going to continue.
Yeah, I get a lot of calls on the guarantees and the cash pluses and, asking the questions, right? And I think getting your buyer into that top 3 or 4, gives you that opportunity to then negotiate further, right? And I think that's, we forget that, yes, it's about the highest price, but it's also about negotiation. And, what is that offer that's coming in? How strong is it? Is it a local lender? Is it a national lender? What is the likelihood that transaction is going to close? Those things that go through when the listing agents are presenting it to their sellers to say, hey, this is what we got. Which one do you want to choose?
And just to add one specific transaction, there's a colleague of mine, a friend of mine that I know that just sold his house, and he had a lot of offers come in on the house. And the one thing that differentiated, the pricing was about the same, but one of the buyer's agents asked him, is there anything else that's important to you in regards to what offer you're going to accept? And his father was living with them. They're putting him into a home, and they needed time. So they said, listen, if we let you stay in the house for 2 more months so you could get your father situated in this new home that he's going to go in, is that important to you? And because they gave that additional 2 months to let them stay in that house, close, live there rent-free, they accepted that offer. So sometimes it's just those little things that you got to ask.
It's asking the right questions.
Right.
And we see that, even on the mortgage qualifying side,
Right.
what's important to you.
Yeah.
And so that we can cater what we're offering to that individual. Yeah, I think, we hear the stories. I had another example last month where buyer had written 5 offers with the pre-qual, decided, it's time to take the plunge and get pre-approved. They got the standard conventional pre-approval. Next offer they wrote got accepted, right? And so sometimes they have to go through those phases. I'm sure the buyer's agents, are well aware of what those phases are. That first offer that goes in is probably the weakest offer that they make, and then they
Right.
continue to start to offer more. I know we work with a lot of the employees that have bought homes, and they've kind of gone through that, right? The buyer has to get themselves there and be prepared to make that offer as aggressive as they can.
Right, right. So, listen, we thank everybody for listening, and hope all the dads out there have a great Father's Day. Joe, hope you have a great
You as well, Mike?
Father's Day. I'm looking so forward to it. Actually doing nothing.
Oh, well, I will be very busy.
Yeah,
Soccer tournament.
Again, for those of you, Joe, if people have topics they want us to discuss, how do they get a hold of us?
Like and subscribe. You can also go to grbbank.com/MJ and find us there.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks again. Have a great month. We'll see you guys in about 30 days. Peace out.